I was coming out of my building this morning, and there was a big news flash that Donald Trump had won the nomination.
They are surprised by the Republican nominee. They are not sure how seriously to take some of his pronouncements, but they're rattled by him.
We're going to have great relationships with these countries, but if they're rattled in a friendly way, that's a good thing. He's a president who's done a horrible job. Everybody understands that. He's a president who's allowed many of these countries to totally take advantage of him, and us, unfortunately.
Well, Donald Trump, they're reacting to President Obama overseas, saying leaders are worried about the prospective Republican nominee. Now, the Republican nominee in waiting. Here's a look at the delegates and how it breaks out. Basically, what happened today is that unbound delegates became bound. They committed, according to the Associated Press, who have been tallying up and interviewing people. Now, Donald Trump is at 1239. He needed 1237. Here are the states that these delegates came from. The unbound delegates, 29 delegates Trump gained from all of these states just today. And that means that officially on the first ballot in Cleveland, he will get that even before we get to California, where he's likely to rack up delegates as well. Here's his celebration Instagram pic today on the plane, eating McDonald's, celebrating 1237. And I think that was the meal of choice today. Let's bring in our panel. Charles Hurt, political columnist for The Washington Times. Ed O'Keefe, reporter for The Washington Post. And syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer. Okay, we started the hour, Charlie, with, just the amazing political story, and we've talked about it many times, but now that we're actually at this moment, it's worth reflecting on.
Oh, absolutely, and I think it is remarkable how over the past month we have seen a pretty significant number of establishment Republicans and credentialed conservatives, far more than I actually thought we would see, get behind him. Obviously, there's still some holdouts, and there are people like Paul Ryan who are going to be very careful about this. But I think that what we're seeing is the unifying of the party, and I think that he has got a very strong hand, especially considering who he's going up against. And Republicans who want to see a Republican win have a lot to be optimistic about right now.
Charlie, Ed mentions Paul Ryan. Here is from a press conference today talking about a phone call he had with Donald Trump last night.
It was a productive phone call. Like I said, we've had these conversations. Our staffs have been meeting, and we had a very good and very productive phone call. I'll leave it at that. What I'm most concerned about is making sure that we actually have real party unity, not pretend party unity.
Is that working? Is that holdout for an endorsement working for the House Speaker?
Well, there's growing calls for him to hurry up already, but I think, when you've been the guy that's essentially written party orthodoxy for the last few years, and you have a guy come in and start picking it apart, you sort of have the right to sort of step back for a second and say, hold on a second, where are you on budget reform and on taxes and on national security? And given that he has the position and the perch, I think he understands that he's speaking for a good segment of the party that still has some reservations about him winning.
How much of this, though, Ed, do you think has to do with Mitt Romney? Bloomberg's reporting tonight that Mitt Romney is looking again at a third-party run.
Well, it's another week, so he switched his thoughts on this yet again. Yes, that's part of it. He's speaking for the Mitt Romneys, for the Jeb Bushes, for the conservative intelligentsia that I think still holds out because they're very concerned that all the things that they've advocated for over the last few decades could be at risk if he suddenly becomes the nominee. But again, tonight he got another one. Marco Rubio has signed on saying that his delegates should vote for Mr. Trump, and he'll go to Cleveland and he'll be helpful if need be. That signals, again, I think, that the unity is continuing, and that's the kind of thing that will continue to put pressure on Ryan to hurry up and make a decision.
Charles, after all the talk about a contested convention and all the angst that was going to be in Cleveland, it looks like the focus is going to be on Philadelphia as far as problems, potentially, and now this is a coronation that will be organized in Cleveland.
Well, absolutely, and that's what everybody had expected for the Democrats. And Sanders is going to remain in this, even if there's an absolute achievement of the delegate count that Hillary needs. He's not going to concede in the sense that he will be out there to fight on the platform, also waiting in the wings in case she loses the Comey FBI primary. But on the Republican side, I think with what you have with Paul Ryan is ultimately everyone knows he's going to have to endorse. But I think he played it well by saying, after his initial hesitation, I'm not ready, I need to talk about this, saying he's willing to step down if Trump asks him to step down as the chairman of the convention. I think for Ryan that's win-win. If he steps down, he's not responsible, he's not implicated, assuming that the Trump campaign ends up badly in November. If he does stay, that means he has, at least Trump has not decided to act against him. But I think the reason he's holding out, even though we all know he's going to have to cave at some point, I think perhaps the Susana Martinez incident earlier in the week, where Trump gratuitously went after a Latina woman governor, popular, and the chairman of the Republican Governors Association, as a matter of what looked like vengeance, it makes no sense politically, is a warning that you don't have to fall in line. There are still people who need to cover, like Martinez, and I think as a result of that, it'll be a longer process before Paul Ryan acquiesces.
What about that? I mean, Governor Walker came out, tweeted support of Martinez. Rubio tweeted and talked about support of Martinez.
Yeah, sometimes when he goes after some of these people, you wonder how much homework went on into it, and they need to do more homework on cases like that. But, you know, in terms of people like Paul Ryan not getting behind him, obviously that's not, it didn't hurt him in the primary. It's not going to hurt him now.
Yeah. All right, speaking quickly about this debate possibility, take a listen to this.
I'd love to debate Bernie, actually. I mean, the problem with debating Bernie, he's going to lose. Because, honestly, his system is rigged, just like our system's rigged. And I said I'd love to debate him, but I want a lot of money to be put up for charity. So what we'll do is if we can raise for maybe women's health issues or something.
Donald Trump has agreed to debate me. And I look forward to that.
There's starting to be some back-channel discussion.
I understood they said that was a joke, and I'm going to look forward to debating Donald Trump.
Well, I'm here to tell you it is not a joke, and those back-channel discussions are continuing, and there will be some event in California.
You going to be moderating it?
I may very well be. So, Ed, what about this and the prospect of Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders?
This could rival Super Bowl level ratings, I think, if somebody can get their hands on it.
People on other planets are going to tune in.
Yes. No, I think most of the world would tune in just for the mere curiosity of it all.
And who does it help? Who does it hurt?
It helps both of them, I think. And I think it does legitimize Sanders a little bit. And might actually win him some favor with at least California primary voters who will say, well, at least he was willing to go toe-to-toe with this guy, or at least attempt to. I do wonder about this $10 million charitable donation thing the same week when he finally was forced to give $1 million to veterans charities after one of my colleagues went after him for figuring out where that money was. How that gets worked out, good luck figuring that out if that's part of the arrangement.
Charles?
There's an idea of genius. The sure loser is Hillary. She's not going to be there. Sanders is elevated. How can Trump lose? Either Sanders supports his attacks on Hillary, which will diminish Sanders and elevate Trump, or he'll take her side, and it's going to be extremely uncomfortable. He wins either way.
Trump wins either way.
Yeah, this is the old boxing promoter creating a new card where you dip down and you get, you know, the unknown Rocky, and you put him on stage. It'll be a spectacle. I think they're going to come in with the belts and the thing and the dancing up and down.
This is the Elvis and Lisa Marie interview crossed with, you know, what was it, Capone's tomb, a Super Bowl, and an NBA final. And the Battle of the Sexes, right? I mean, all of that together.
I think it should be done in the Houston Astrodome. I'm not sure it still exists.
Maybe Sanders said the biggest stadium ever. They're looking at the Michigan Stadium. I don't know.